In this video, we're going to talk about creative and Facebook rules around it. So the creative is everything that your targeted audience is going to see when they see your ad. This means this includes copy, which is the text, video or image, which is the middle part of your ad, and then in major cases, in most of the cases, you're going to have a call to action. So what we're going to cover is, first of all, we're going to cover how to write a compliant copy. So as you know, Facebook is big on making sure that you do not, um, actually Facebook has rules around what you can put in your ad and what can be seen and how it should be worded. And it has huge security algorithms that will check your ad before it gets approved. So we want to make sure that we're compliant with Facebook ads policy before we do anything else. So then we're gonna touch on words not to include, things not to include. We want to see what things that we need to avoid in order to stay compliant, in order to make sure that our ad does get approved and that we can scale that ad up. And then we're gonna also touch base on best practices. Okay, so what works in the industry, what type of images, videos you should use, what type of copy you should use, etc. Okay, so first of all, we wanna cover the elements of Facebook ad. So what you see here in front of you is the basic type of ad. Here you will have whose ad this is. So basically it's going to be a page because you cannot run any Facebook ads without having a page. Here you're going to have a copy. Here you might include a link. So if this is a top of the funnel for where you're trying to get people to like your page, your Facebook page, you don't want to have a link here. If this is an e-commerce or a webinar or anything of that nature, you do want to have your link here. It's a direct response, and when people can click from here there, they can click on image, they can click on call to action button. Copy is also the headline also falls under copy. It's most striking thing because people notice the visuals first, so they will notice either video or an image. They're gonna notice the headline, and then they're gonna be, okay, this is interesting, this relates to me, I'm gonna start reading. So your headline must be also compliant alongside with your copy, alongside with your video and image if you have it here. On that note, I just don't want to confuse anyone. You cannot have video and the image here. It's either or. So it must be either image or video. So there are ways around it. So for example, if you don't have actual video, in a sense of production, you can put a bunch of images together in one of the tools that I'm going to show you, and create a pretty good videos, pretty engaging videos that people can tell are not salesy, and they're not high level production, and that a lot of money went into them like usually big companies would do. Actually, that's appealing to certain interest groups. So now here we in a 99% of cases we will have a call to action. So let me just be very clear about something. If you're running top of the funnel, if this ad was for top of the funnel, for you to create engagement, to create interest, to do broad awareness and brand promotion, you don't want to have a button here. And the simple reason for that, it puts off people to engage because they know it's an ad. Okay, this here will indicate to them that this is an ad, and we are seeing much lower click-through rates because of it. When we remove this, when we run a campaign without call to action button for top of the funnel in certain cases, we see higher engagements because people usually do not notice when it says sponsored under the under the under the name of the page. Okay, so and also in this case, you will see that just this ad has been running for a while, and I know that because first of all, it's been shown to 114,000 people, and that takes days, if not weeks, to reach this level, no matter what budget, because it's trying to optimize. It got 58 shares, it got 32 comments and 551 reactions. And none of these reactions are negative, right? We have likes, we have love, we have smiley, like funny, whatever people find funny. But it doesn't matter. In the eyes of the Facebook, this is being seen as a positive reaction. So most likely this ad right now is seeing very high click-through rates with very low cost per click or cost per thousand impressions. So that's really important to see here, which is one of the reasons why I picked this video out. So let's jump into talking about best practices for creative. So best practices for creative are usually what will work in most cases. So this is kind of um, I'm trying to give you the best practices because they have been shown to work the best. That's why they call best practices. But another reason is that for me, it's really hard to know from which angle you're coming into this training and what niche you're trying to target. So I collected what I learned from other Facebook ad marketers and from my own personal experience, what basically works the best. So, having said that, the first thing that we want to know, that we want to kind of pay attention to, and it's the most common thing, is that to run ad with images, is that we want to break the mold by showing images that stand out. So you don't want to have same old boring image that uh, nobody will pay attention to. Put yourself in the shoes of your target audience. You want to make sure that whatever you see in a news feed grabs your attention, because everything else blends really fast if it doesn't stand out, because you're just scrolling through news feed. Doesn't matter if you're on desktop or mobile. You just keep scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. Oh, look, this image looks different. There's, this part of the image stands out. It's really easy to see. There's a interesting quote. There's an interesting headline. What does it say? Let me stop. Let me read this. That is your goal with your copy. That is your goal with your creative, to make your ad stand out so you get people to interact with your ad one way or another. So that takes us to a second part, which is we want to show relevant images to our targeted audience if appropriate. So if there are many different ways that you can take your approach towards creative, but one of them is to be just direct. For example, we have this amazing beauty product uh, that is one of the kind on the market because it offers these benefits, right? And then you include the image of the product. So I cannot tell you right from this position if that ad will perform good or it will not, because it depends on other variables. But what I can tell you is that, especially in an e-commerce world, you want to be direct about that. Okay, you want to, when it comes to e-commerce, You want to be direct about your product. You don't want to get cute. You want to be, hey, this is what we have. This is what we're selling. Do you want it or not? It's simple as that. It's not like a lead gen where you have to warm up the audience to the point where you're asking them for something like their email address or phone number and name, because that's a little bit more tricky. In this case, when it comes to e-commerce, the images of the actual products are the best. When it comes to lead gen, you want something that will, again, stand out, that will help your audience, realize what your service is about. What is it that you offer to them, and in what kind of way? People these days like funny stuff. They like people who are genuine, who are realistic, who don't try to play something that they're not. So even saying something funny, as I don't know, last night, as I was looking at my cell phone, I tumbled down my house stairs and I hit my head, and then I came to the idea, yes, this would be a good idea to make this video. I don't know. I'm just giving you, you gotta be creative. Think outside of the box. That's the only way to stand out in a market that has 5 million marketers and a consumer base of 2 billion. So next is the fact that sex sells. This is the one of those pillars of marketing that has been around probably for 1,000 years, even before people didn't realize they were doing the marketing. Sex sells. So if you want to grab attention, or if it's appropriate for your target audience, for your ad, for your brand, you want to use images of gorgeous women who are smiling, and this works for both genders in your audience. I cannot tell you why. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not someone who can dig deeper into this and tell you why why the smiling women will work on smiling women, or on other women, sorry. I can tell you why it works on men, but it definitely works. It definitely works on both genders. The smiling women, happy women, who are beautiful, who are good looking, will get you higher click-through rates. And this doesn't only apply to images. This also applies to videos. If you can have not famous person, female person, who record a video for you, if you give her a script, and then you tell her, hey, I just need you to say this into camera, I guarantee you will see much higher click-through rate and most likely conversion rate, depending on how good your service or product is, just by doing that. And important part is, you do not want to use the stock images of women. Uh, it puts audience off, because audience recognize that these are stock photos, and it just creates that cold barrier between whatever it is that you're trying to get them to do and the audience, and they really do not want to engage with you. So make sure that you never use the stock photos of people. There's a high chance that people already saw it somewhere else, or on the web, or on Facebook or Instagram, and you're just gonna look very non-genuine and non-authentic, and it will just get you in a bad spot where you're gonna see very low click-through rates and a very high cost of your cost per impressions. So authentic images would be images that you would take with your personal cell phone, right? It would be images of people or situations that you took or someone else took, that people can say, hey, this is genuine, right? This is obviously not staged, or even if it is staged, I can't tell that it's being staged, and I can tell the quality of the photo is for it's it's appropriate for a normal person, not someone who has a $3,000 camera. Not to say that that's wrong, but you see where I'm going with this. Again, videos, same way, recorded with just a simple iPhone or Android device, or whatever it is that you doing using, Windows phone, doesn't matter. Again, you will see higher click-through rates. Uh, there are some exceptions to this rule, but again, for what you need to do at this point, if you're in this stage of your life when you're learning about Facebook ads, or you want to learn new tricks, this is one of those tricks. You will see a lot of marketers in your news feed who are applying the same principle. They have some simple camera, they're sitting or they're standing, they record themselves, and you can tell it's not some high level production type of deal. They are doing actually what I'm telling you to do here. They're just doing very simple stuff and it works. That's why they're doing it, because it works. So now I just go back to another best practice, and that is to avoid call to action button for your top of the funnel creative. So this is only if it applies, right? If it applies to your to that audience, to your Facebook ad funnel strategy. So I understand that you're looking, in this case, if you're looking to build engagement, if you're looking to build social proof, you don't want to have call to action button. It puts people off you, and it's just something that you probably don't want to do. So you want to engage people, not scare them away with your ad, and that is why we don't want a call to action button in this case. Uh, Anything learn more, watch more, buy now, call now, any of those call to action buttons, you will see lower click-through rates, you will see less engagement, and most likely you will pay higher cost for click, you will pay higher cost per impression. Again, we're going back to another thing that I said in the previous slide when we were talking about the structure of the Facebook ad and how it looks. And that's the fact that people see the visual first. Then they read the headline, and then they read the copy. So the process behind this subconscious process is you grab them by the visual representation of your ad. Again, it could be video, very engaging video, so you want to grab them in those first 2 seconds with something pop pow, right? With something powerful, with something that will grab their attention. Um, let's say you're playing on someone's emotions, right? And let's say beauty products. We've been doing that theme throughout this training, so I'm just gonna keep going with that. So you might start, for example, your video with a gorgeous woman being sad, and then you just you have a voiceover right away when the video starts. You can say, um, you know, her skin is red and it's making her sad. So it almost rhymes, right? And in those first 2 seconds, people will either relate to your message, to your video, or they will not. So there are only two options here. If they do relate, they will keep watching. So that will give you a good indication of how good your video is. If they do not relate, they will just scroll down and they're off, right? So they're gonna start watching video, and video, let's say this is the best case scenario. The video is engaging. You got their attention. They understand what needs to get done, what your message is about. The story is engaging. So now, headline. What is it that you offer them, right? Especially middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel. What is it that you offer them? So this is really important part. And your offer, or your call to action, or whatever it is that you want them to do, has to be in line with your video ad, with your landing page, with your copy above the creative, above the image or video. Okay, I just kind of trying to connect dots here for you regarding everything else that we have learned in this training. So because of this, again, once they read headline, they're going to be like, okay, I want to learn more, right? That's it's the step. It's like you're leading them by hand through your funnel, right? Through your ad. So you want them to watch the video or see an image, then you want to grab them by with the headline. Now you want them to read a copy. Every of these steps brings them closer to either buying from you or giving you their information so you can contact them and then you can sell to them. That's a whole point of Facebook ads. So because of this, you want to make sure that your video is engaging or your image is engaging, because it needs to be attention grabber. You want to make sure that your headline is extremely clear, to the point, and again, engaging. Do not overthink it. Do not get cued here, all right? This is the part that's going to stick with them. Those big bolded letters, that's what sticks with them. That's what they're going to take with them, right? In combination with your creative, with your image or video, that's what's going to stick, and that's what they're going to be coming back to, especially if you retarget them, especially if they comment, especially if they do anything that indicates that you got them interested, right? So now another thing is that you probably have heard by now that usually Facebook does not like image to have any text on it. There was still, before, there was a rule of 20% of the image, maximum 20% of the image can be text. So if you take one image and you divide it in uh, five equal parts, only one part would be allowed to be a text. Everything else has to be rest of the image. Well, that rule is no longer in place. So, but again, the algorithm did not change that much. So we're seeing much lower, much higher cost per thousand impressions for those images that do have text in them. Just know that. So it's interesting. It's an interesting concept. But what I would suggest is that if you need to put text on your image for your ad, keep it to a bare minimum. Did, if there's any message that you need to send to your target audience, your headline and subheadline is there uh, to do that. Okay, so just know that that's really important to understand, is that Facebook just doesn't like images with the text, and the less text you have on images, the better. Again, we talked about the funnel, and then I don't know what your experience around sales funnels is, but there's a term called leaky funnel or leaky landing page. So really fast here, goal of any landing page is to get a customer from a potential customer from point A to point B to point C, where the point C is the final action we want them to take, usually purchase or submitting their information or calling us, whatever the case might be. However, if you have some other not necessary links on your landing page that can take them somewhere else, let's say even in this case, takes them back to Facebook, takes them back to Instagram. A lot of businesses are using this. They're putting their Instagram, Facebook on their homepage. There's no need for that, right? Your website, your landing page is your tool, right? There should only be one option for them. That is to move forward, to either learn more about your company, to learn more about your product. You should not take them away from your website or from your landing page. Um, the only time that you should put these social media icons and connectors is when you put them under contact us or about us. Put them somewhere in a footer. Put them somewhere where it's hard to find, that most likely the people will not get to. Again, if you want to build following for your Facebook page, there are different ways to do it. Your website, your landing page is the tool for you to make money. Simple as that. The sooner your client or you understand that, it's going to be much better. So that is why certain ads, like I said in my second image when we are talking about should you put a link in your copy or not, in certain cases you should, right? But if you're trying to build engagement, if you're trying to build social proof, in that case you should not. Okay, so the reason behind it is that um, if you are trying to build social proof and somebody clicks on your ad, it takes them away from building that social proof, right? So you still have to put some type of link, but don't put it in the copy, right? It's not going to show up there. It's not going to look salesy. It's not going to look like an ad. You're still required to put some type of ad, right? Some type of link, I apologize. But just know that if it suits your purpose, you should include link, but you really have to think about where to put link and why. Don't let it just be, just to do it just because everyone else is doing it. So when it comes to creative and your copy, there are two things that will happen. And that is that you're seeing a good click-through rate. Okay, so the click-through rate, for example, for any ad, if you have a click-through rate above 1%, that's good. That's awesome. Know that you're doing good. So out of 1,000 impressions, you get 10 people to click on your ad. Wonderful. However, if your click-through rate is under 0.8%, so think in terms, if your click-through rate is under 1% for a cold audience, meaning top of the funnel, obviously your audience is not responding to your creative. Change it. So here's where the testing comes into place, because you have three parts to your ad, three major parts. You have copy. So let me go back. You have copy, you have creative, and then you have a headline. It is hard to know based on click-through rate which one of these needs to be changed. So this is where split testing and A/B testing comes into place. So if you're 100% sure that your headline is good, then you want to change creative. So you will leave this running. You will create a copy of your ad. You will substitute this image, and then you're gonna run it for 7 days. See if you get better click-through rates. Another thing that I did not mention at the beginning, and I cannot recall, and I want to make sure that even if I did say this, and I believe that I did, that if you are building a social proof, you want to do split testing prior to building social proof. You want to know which one of the ads you're going to be running for the social proof will give you the best click-through rate. So you cannot start running this and start investing money in 3-4 different assets and ads just to find out that 3 of them don't work, and here you are, you spend like thousands of dollars, right? So use the small amount of money, like $5, and then just take it from there. Okay, so for videos, if there is a drop of 50% or more of those who viewed your video within first 10 seconds, you need to change either the targeting or the video. So, and here I included how you can go about seeing that, how you can see those stats. So feel free to post your question on our Facebook page if the instructions don't make sense. But let me tell you where this is coming from. So usually Facebook will give you statistics on the views of your video that are based on 3 second, 10 second. Well, what you want to know is that you want to know if your audience is not getting engaged with your video in first 10 seconds, right? So anyone who clicks on your ad, who starts watching video, will be, all of that group is basically 100%. So now if you're seeing dropping them off, yeah, the number of people who see your video starts dropping off rapidly, that indicates that the video or the targeting is not engaging enough. So something is off, right? So if you're certain that your video is good, change your targeting. Obviously, it's whatever is it that you're trying to show to your target audience, it is not working for them. Okay, it might be wrong audience. Maybe I'm trying to show beauty product video to a bunch of guys who are into MMA, UFC. They don't care about beauty products, right? So they might just click on the video because there's a beautiful, gorgeous, sexy woman, but that's about it. Even then, we're gonna see a major drop in videos because people have better things to do. Out of that 1 hour that we talked about, that people stay on Facebook, they will they will opt out of your video and go to more engaging one, right? So this is really important, why you actually have to do something like this. You have to understand where you're losing your audience, and why you're losing them, right? Again, video is nothing else than giving some type of information, whatever that information is, to your target audience. Okay? Even through funny videos, at the end you get some type of information. That's the whole point of advertising. Get your target audience moving. Okay, so now I'm going to cover a couple of reasons why your Facebook ad would be disapproved, uh, or your account disabled. And I apologize. I just noticed that here it should say reasons to get your Facebook ad disapproved or account disabled. So I missed the ad part, but you know what I'm talking about. So first one is that you cannot make any claims, and this definitely applies to financial claims. So you cannot say, for example, um, if you buy our product from our program from us, you're going to make $100 in your first day. You can't do that. However, the workaround is that you can say, with this program I made $100 in a day. So it goes from making a claim to giving them a story, right? You're not telling them they will make $100. You're telling them that you made $100. Okay, so that's really important, and just you have to get out of that you mindset, right? You in quotation marks. So you have to think about, especially when it comes to headlines, you have to stop thinking is like, you have to think in the terms of, how do I say this that doesn't sound like I'm telling them what to do, but I want them to do this, right? So you have to give them something else, and usually personal experiences is what works best in this case. So instead of make $100 in a day, you can say how I made $100 in a day by using this product, this training, whatever the case may be. Before and after images are huge no for Facebook. So you cannot use before and after images. There are some workarounds regarding that, but at the end of the day, the Facebook will get you. The algorithm will understand that you have before and after images, and that is it. Here's the tricky part. Facebook will also know that if your landing page or website offers these before and after images. So even if you're putting something on your website, do not use anywhere in your meta tags, in your title, in your text on the image, do not use before and after. Okay? One way to go around this is to get all of those images into video, and here you have before and after, right? So that's one way to go around it. Do not use words before and after in your headline, in your copy, in your subheadline, anywhere, right? You can still create a video with it, and then usually that will get approved, and you're on your way. Also, excuse me, you cannot make any claims regarding weight or physical attributes that you guarantee someone will have if they use your product or your service. So you cannot say you will lose 20 pounds in first 30 days if you sign up to our gym, right? You could say how I lost 20 pounds in 30 days with this gym, right? So it's just a word playing. Facebook knows that, but again, there's much more to that than just word playing. It's also psychologically how it affects your audience and what actions you want them to take. So any nudity is not allowed. So what you're gonna see, even outside of the ads, is that if you try to post a picture of people, I don't know, looking pretty nude for whatever that could mean in this case, because Facebook is pretty rigid about it. But even sometimes the pictures of children will get disapproved. Facebook will remove them. And here's another thing that to keep in mind. Facebook keeps track of the compliance of your account, not just your ad account, but your Facebook account. So some people will get flagged by Facebook if they post these pictures. And guess what? If they try to run an ad under that account, Facebook will be very rigid about them, and then it will start banning them. It will start banning even for the smallest things. So the easiest thing is to do is not use the images of any naked body, human body, right? Even men with bare chest, they get banned, but women in bikini can get approved. Why? Does this kind of start connecting the dots? Because Facebook knows sex sells, and it knows that a lot of advertisers are out there will use that argument, that pillar of marketing, that sex sells. Not in the direct way of sex, but definitely in a subconscious way, and in how it plays with our intentions, with our desires, and everything. So again, there's a fine line that you can be walking with Facebook ads. So I'm just kind of giving you things that could get you on a bad side of Facebook, where it either disables your ad or completely disables your account. Uh, Next thing is that you cannot make any mentions of any mental or physical disability or illness. So you cannot say, if you're depressed, have you been depressed? Have you felt low? That type of thing. You can't say that. You can't say, hey, if you're in a wheelchair, blah blah blah. You can't say that, right? But you in this case you could say, I have been struggling with the for example, I've been struggling with the depression all my life, or how these 6 steps help me with my depression, right? Because uh, even in that case, Facebook might still ban you. So I would advise to be cautious, not to use these any physical attributes or mental illnesses, and then just stay clear of them. There are ways to work around them and be creative about that. Again, any mentions of gambling, lotto drawings, anything of that nature where you claim, you can win up to $10,000. Nope, nope. Huge no-no for Facebook. I'm sure they would make huge amount of money if they allowed something but like that, but they don't. So there you go. And then trademarks. You cannot show images of with trademarks. You cannot mention trademarks. You cannot do anything of that nature. That is basically it. That is basically it. In a couple of next videos, we're going to talk a little bit more about creating effective copy. I'm going to also cover the steps how you, if your account has been disabled, how you can go about enabling it. This is what has worked for us, and you can also give it a try. I'm not promising anything, but I will cover because it's a Facebook support, so I will cover that in the next video. Okay, thank you.